Alright, so in this video, I'm going to explain my process for rendering eyes. If you're not very familiar with the term rendering, it's just basically like the finishing touches, the shading, the highlights that you put onto any art piece. So as you can see here, I've got the basic outline of my eye filled in, and then I've also got my irises in all block colors. So first I'm going to go in with this nice light blue color. My opacity is very low, the size is also very low, but I'm just adjusting it there to see kind of like what size I need to work with to achieve what I want. I'm just kind of building the layers of the color, trying to make sure that it has quite a diffused edge, because there is going to be a lot of blending. So that's why I'm working with such low opacity. And obviously the size of the brush is also going to be very small, just because the eyes on this canvas are very small. Alright, now I'm going in with a colour that's kind of in between that darkest blue and the lightest blue, just to fill in that gap a little bit more easier, finding the colour in between both. Now I'm getting a darker blue, that was the dark blue one, and then I'm just going under like that upper eyelash area, and creating a bit of a shadow. Again, when you're using these sort of colors, you want to have a really low opacity, and just again building up layers. Right, notice how I'm also kind of bringing that shading down to the left. So really be mindful of where the highlights are, where the light is coming from. In this piece, the light is coming from kind of that bottom right. So all of like the most shadowy areas, the darkest areas are gonna be that top left. This does change depending on where your light source is. This is just obviously where my light source is in this painting. Taking that dark blue again, making the brush a lot smaller, and we're working it into that left hand side of the eye. And the same on the other one. Again, this is just layers and layers, building up, having more control. We're going with an even darker blue to build up this blue. And you see how that's really creating that shadowy kind of effect, the depth that we're looking for. That's going on the left hand side of the eye and just under the lash line. Alright, and now this is where we start working on just one eye. Right now we're going to try and make the pupil. Alright, now I'm getting the color black, and I am creating a harsher sort of pupil, but still, like, it's not pixely or anything just because the opacity is so low. And then I'm gonna blend that in even more. See how this eye is already really coming together just after adding that pupil? Alright, now we're color picking the center of the pupil, and we're running that along the lash line. Alright, now we're going with the darkest purple, and we are going over the lashes. Now I'm just cleaning the eye up a little bit. There's still kind of some of that purple, as I did use that purple color as the base color for my iris. Alright, now I'm going in with a lighter blue color and really faintly creating this kind of like saturated but shadow look, I don't know what you'd call it, on the eye. I really like using a light blue to create this depth. Depending on the lighting you're in, you can use a different color, but I feel like a blue or a purple kind of makes more sense to me. A bluey grey. So now I'm just going in with a darker blue. Really gonna build that shadow up. And notice how I'm going like with the sides of the eyes, it's more curved or triangle, I guess. This way it's gonna look like the white of the eye, the actual eye is popping out. So I just keep building that up. And now I'm gonna try and blend that blue into the darker blue that I've just used, so there's not that harsh line. And they're still carrying out that lighter blue. And now I'm just color picking the white of the eye and then blending the white out. That's kind of like the best way to go about it when you're trying to make a gradient like that. Just color picking those colors that you make when mixing two colors together, you know what I mean? And now I'm color picking the darker shade of blue in that top left, making my brush really small to yet again just line up that eye. And a lot of eyes, they have that thick band around them, and I really like adding that. Adding a lighter blue onto this right hand side, just because you know the changes. Then I'm going in with this really saturated aqua color, then going in with that lighter muted blue. Now going in with the darker blue. That's a lot of changing colors, changing opacities, changing size. Just adding a few little, lines and dots. These eyes are a lot smaller compared to the canvas. There's a lot going on in this painting, so I can kind of get away with using a little bit less detail. Plus it's an anime style. But just making these like cute little rings around. And now I'm adding a highlight to the pupil. And you can just build up the highlights. I'm using that lighter blue. I'm going in with some purple. And now adding some white. So I'm putting the opacity down quite a lot, just because the white is going to be bright. It's going to be a lot of contrast. Oh no, let's use the blue instead. Okay. Using a blue, just because like I said, the white is so much contrast. Also wanted some blue light. I mean, light is not going to be colorless, so using the blue kind of reflecting from the eye makes a lot of sense. Now we're going in with the actual highlights. Very small, still quite a low opacity. Adding the highlights to that highlight in the pupil, on the lash line at the bottom and the lashes at the top, and then obviously quite a lot of highlight on that right hand side. And then I feel like the white of the eye wasn't white enough, especially compared to the highlights we've just put on the eye now. So now I'm going in with a very low opacity white and just adding that to both sides. Just adding a little bit more, tweaking a few things, trying to blend the white a little bit. But yeah, there you have it. That's how I render eyes. And I know that I didn't clean up the lashes on my eye or anything, but this is kind of what they looked, both the eyes looked like after I'm nearly done with the piece. But yeah, thank you all for watching. If you want me to do a more detailed tutorial or a tutorial in other things like making eye shapes, stuff like that, just let me know down below.